Hello, and thank you guys for joining the D Hope podcast. This is the inaugural episode. So we are so glad that you're here with us. It is May the 4th, so may the 4th be with you, as they
Yes.
say in the Star Wars world.
Yes.
So we just say thank you and welcome. We thank you for Jamie Crain, who is joining Hope and I today. Hope Wilson, I'm Donna Ware, and we are your host of the D Hope podcast. So this is a
The Dope
podcast.
podcast.
Yes, because it's dope, right?
Yes.
Yes. I love it. So it is, we are here to highlight the hope of recovery. So we're displaying stories, unfiltered, uncut, just raw, stories about the addiction journey and the journey of recovery. And there's so many pathways to recovery. So we just want to talk with people about their pathway. We want to talk to people who have dealt with family members that have been in addiction, or into just whatever recovery, because recovery just doesn't pertain to drugs and alcohol, right? Like there's other things that you can be recovering from. So we just want to highlight more of the recovery paths so that more people can have the opportunity to walk in recovery. And so I just want to turn it over. At this time, we're going to have a chat with Miss Jamie Crain, who is an amazing person. But we're going to let her tell you how amazing she is. So just tell us, Jamie, like what it was like growing up.
Growing up was pretty rough because I encountered sexual abuse when I was 9. My mom's husband at the time, he was very abusive to her, and I seen way, way more than any child should ever have to see. So I just grew up broken because I didn't deal with the sexual abuse properly. I just buried it deep down, and so it later haunted me. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to trust people. I was just very angry.
Yes, I can relate to that. It is a situation that can harm you much, especially when it's because it's a traumatic experience, and especially if it goes undealt with. Um, like you said, properly, it wasn't proper. You weren't properly equipped to handle it. So how did you get into addiction?
It's after I got married. I was, like I said, I was broken and just a very unhappy person. I always walked around with a smile, but I just, all that past was haunting me. I tried to get married and I just, I didn't know how to love. And so I just got into pain pills after I had my first child, and it just spiraled out of control from there.
And
So I
Did
from
you have, go ahead.
no, you go.
Did you have any addictive behaviors as a child? I'm curious. After
I'm not.
you experienced that sexual trauma, did you have anything not regarding to drugs, but did that spark something or a behavior
No,
prior to you getting married? Or did
not.
it just like stay buried until it just exploded?
It pretty much stayed buried until it exploded. I went to counseling, but I still wouldn't talk to him when I was a kid. So I just, I don't know.
You did, okay. So you were in counseling, but it was just one of those things that you just kept buried,
Yeah,
all those years.
yeah. And then after all that happened, I had to go and go to court and sit on trial and testify and all that. And so I think after that, just pretty much shut down. Like that's why I have such a fear of like stage fright, I guess. I don't know. But then my dad took me from my mama, so I had to grow up, you know, without her until I was 16. I moved to Tennessee to be with her. So it was rough growing up.
So when
So
all
the
of yeah,
yeah
when all of that
the
happened,
yeah, the trial, when you had to go, sit through the trial and everything, but did you continue in counseling after that?
Well, I did. Uh, I think I remember going to counseling, but I just wouldn't talk to them. That's what I meant. I didn't deal with it properly. I
Right.
just had, I could run from it.
Were you not comfortable with like the counselor that you had at the time, or was it just easier to keep it
It was just
bottled?
not to talk about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hope,
But
you
then
had a question.
Foundry, I had to go to the Foundry so I could deal with all that, because that was the root of my addiction. And so I just wanted to free myself from it.
Yeah, I was just because I knew that you had experience. I guess we should say that me and Jamie, or Jamie and I, went to the Foundry together.
Yeah.
Jamie was actually the first person that I met when I walked in the doors. And so we have been friends for, I guess 5 years now.
Yeah, almost 5 years. It'll be 5
Mhm.
that I went. August 27th, 2019.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. 5 years. Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Um,
That is amazing. I'm
yeah.
proud of you.
Yes, I am too. Like, clap it up for Jamie
Yes.
and Hope for 5 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Going to
I love
rehab
it.
easy part, but then when I was in there, I got served with those papers to terminate my rights to my children, for not paying child support for 4 consecutive months. Then when I graduated my program, I came home, fought that in court and lost because that's a Tennessee law. It don't matter how good you're doing, your rights can still be terminated. And then the very next January, like exactly a year, I lost my children and my mother. My mother died from congestive heart failure. So it's been a struggle, but I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. So tell us like some of the tools that you maybe gained while you were at the foundry that helped you through the those two, because those both were great losses, the loss of your children,
Mhm.
your parental rights, and the loss of your mom. So like what was if there what did you learn that helped you to not turn back um to substance use?
Well, I learned how to deal with my problems and talk to people. That way I don't go back down the wrong paths. And I lost everything to drugs, even my children. So it makes me not want to go back that path because I hope one day as they get older, they'll come back to me. And I just want to keep doing the best I can until that day comes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, God, He's my best friend. So,
Yes. I honestly, when you experience tremendous loss like that, I don't know how uh people that don't necessarily believe in God, how they make it through the transition like that. Um, Especially when it's piled like that, like within such a short time of experience and great loss. So that's a real testimony to your connection with him, your relationship with him.
yeah. I'm just a fighter. I don't give up easy. Well, I don't really give up ever, but now now that I'm sober, I can't go back down that bad path. I've worked way too hard to, come out on top.
Absolutely. And like you
Yes.
said before, like knowing the losses that you've taken
Hmm.
from having been in an addictive state. And I, sometimes I know people think that with people who have substance use disorder, that it's a matter of, oh, they can just stop when they want to. It's like, no, it's it's not that easy,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
not the
like,
case.
yeah, like if it was, like you
Mhm.
would after the first hit, you know what I'm saying? Of after you lost something great, you know what I'm saying? Like it would,
Mhm.
for a lot of people, all it would have taken maybe was DHR even just being called. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that kept, so it's a much deeper issue, and much deeper issues going on. The substance is a byproduct of
Yes.
of of the real issues. It's just masking what's
Mhm.
underneath, you know, is the real reality of it. And if we, you know, maybe if we took the time to get to know people, you know, ask a
Just
couple of
amen.
questions. You know, like what's really going on, what happened, you know, like what
Yeah.
happened
Yes.
that caused this behavior, then we might have better outcomes, you know, for people. More people would be experiencing 5 years, you know, of being
I agree.
sober. Yeah.
Well, I
so
mean,
so
another hard part of all of it is, you know, I haven't seen my kids. Well, it'd be 5 years at the end of this month. I haven't got to see their faces or, you know, hear their voice or nothing like that. And I didn't even get to see them or hear from them when I was in rehab. I wrote letters and cards and, you know, I tried to do what was right, but
mhm.
it just didn't work out in my favor.
Yeah, and the fact that you didn't quit
Yeah.
even because it didn't work out, you know, in your favor, and that you
Dear.
continue to do what you knew was the right thing to do for you.
Yeah.
um you know, and in the long run, I 100% believe that it you will see the fruit of your labor in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so tell us about more about your time at the Foundry.
Well, I was scared to death. Scared like 50 pounds, you know, and I rolled up and I was like, whoo, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get out and run because I was scared, but it's definitely a good location, so you don't think you're running. I know that.
Well, explain more about this location because people don't. They hear about. They don't understand. Go more into where the Foundry is located.
Well, I like to tell people down in the, you know, like you hear gunshots all the time, and people's like, "Oh, is that fireworks?" No, honey, that is guns. You know, like you don't want to go out them gates at nighttime.
Right, exactly.
It's the best location, I will say that. But so when I got there, I decided, you know, I'm just going to be sweet like I am and try to be encouraging and help people, you know, like Hope, she was about ready to run out the door. I knew that the moment but being a dorm, what helped me, I think.
You were awesome, Jamie. You were. If it hadn't been for you, I probably would have ran.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed my time there though. You know, I uh I like being somebody that people looked up to, and I wasn't a mean dorm leader. You know, I try to do it with grace and mercy.
You did. You
Really
did.
good.
You were great.
Thank you.
You were. You're loving, very loving and encouraging. And
Yeah.
that's what people need in an environment where you're trying to heal. You need someone who understands and can be there to listen. I mean, how many times did we sit out and just, laugh and talk, but also there are times when, more serious matters were going on. For instance, when you got served papers or when I got served my divorce papers. I don't know if you were there that time, but I mean, just there's things that happen that go on that we needed each other.
Yeah. It's a
Hmm.
very good place. I try to encourage people, you know, that who are still in addiction or whatever, you know, that's a good place to go because like you'll never go somewhere that where, you know, where people show you so much love And you do need that.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
like that you guys had, like you guys were able to develop a friendship, but also like that you have a sisterhood,
Yeah.
of people who you can have the support when if you're being served divorce papers or served papers with to terminate your parental rights, because none of that is easy.
Right.
None of that, without having been through being dependent on a substance for a period of time, to go through that while you're actively seeking recovery, and you didn't run, like like
Yeah.
that's super
Right.
commendable. That because that alone could have caused you to say, what, well, if they're thinking of doing this, of terminating my rights, why don't I just throw all caution to the wind, which sometimes happens. But I think shining light on stories like yours uh gives another level of hope to people who,
Mhm.
like, well, if she, if she could beat that, be served papers to terminate parental rights, and she still stayed with it, she still stayed the course, and then 5 years later she's still doing great, hey, I might be able to do that too.
Yeah.
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 I commend you for it.
Thank
Yes.
I do.
You're
I don't know.
welcome.
I don't mean I would like to think that, but I don't know how I would have handled something like that.
Well,
That's why I say you're the strongest person I know.
when I got served those papers, do y'all know where I was? I was in the middle of a counseling session with Miss Chris when Miss Tawana knocked on the door. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But God has you where you need to be for a situation
Mhm.
like that. Because if I'd been any,
Yeah.
I would have ran.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like he had you stationed right there,
Yeah.
exactly like in your counselor's office, where you
Yeah.
definitely, needed to be
Mhm.
with getting news such as that. So like I just love how he loves us so much,
Yeah.
and he can, like, because he knew May 4th, 2024 was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
he knew that then,
Yeah.
and so like he sees way farther ahead than we can ever see,
Mhm.
knows way more than we'll ever know, even about ourselves. So that's why I 100% love, I pray first, before I
Mhm.
do anything,
Mhm.
because I'd rather have his guidance than not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I've lived without his guidance, and that was,
Mhm.
for lack of a, that was, it sucked, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term.
It's chaotic.
Yes, very chaotic.
Mhm.
Lived a very, very reactive
Yes.
type of a lifestyle. Was never
Mhm.
proactive in anything. In
Right.
anything. Yeah, was just completely reacting to everything, and that's just not a good place to live, because you're constantly on edge with that, because you're constantly waiting for the shoe to drop, so that you can
Mhm.
react. But yeah, that's not a super place. So tell me, what a day in the life of Jamie looks like now.
Well, I have to be at work at 5 in the mornings, so I get up at 3. Well, usually about 2:45, honestly, and I try to get my devotions in and spend my time with God, listen to my worship music, because like that's a big part of my day because it really does make your days better.
Mhm.
But then I go to work all day. I try to be encouraging. They say I'm like sunshine at work. I don't know, but
You always have been. I love that so much. It makes me
Yeah.
happy to hear it.
yeah, I've been there at my job almost 4 years. Well, August will be 4 years for that. So, and I had a Hispanic lady, one of my good friends, the other day say, "You've been here 4 years, and look all the people you love." And I said, "Well, thank you."
Aw,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
I just work and mind my business and go home. try to be responsible, pay my bills, and, you know, I got a pretty boring life, but I'm okay with that.
It doesn't sound boring. Sounds pretty fulfilling.
Yeah.
You know,
Then I go to church on Sundays. I look forward to that. I love my little church family. They stuck by me the whole time I was in rehab, sent me mail, so
yeah.
I never thought I would be saying that I've been in church these last, 4 years that I've been home from rehab, but I never dreamed I'd be saying that. But I love going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's funny that you should say, I never dreamed that I would be saying that.
Yeah.
It is fun to serve the Lord. Like that's growing up, I didn't I knew I was taught how to go to church, so I went because that's what I was taught to do. But I never really saw it as like just fun either. It was just what you did,
Just kind of
like
went.
yeah, just kind of went because that's what you were supposed to do.
That's what mom said you're doing, and that's what you did.
Yeah, so that's what you did. But never, and like having now that I have the relationship that I have with Christ, it is fun, like you can there because there's freedom. Like it's fun that I can remember. Like it's a literal fun that I can remember because I'm sure you guys may know we thought we was having some fun, maybe with a substance was involved, but then you don't quite remember anything from it's not much you remember from that maybe, or if you do, it probably is not. When you look back on it, it's like, I don't think that was too much fun.
I don't think it was too much fun. I've been there probably 5, 6 times, in my addiction. It's not no place for me,
I don't think it's a place for nobody.
I mean, I don't think it's a place for anybody, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yes. So tell us about those experiences of encountering the law.
Not too good, not for DUIs anyway, So my first DUI I ever got, I got it dropped down to reckless driving. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do this more. I'm good. So I got my other one in 2015, and that's when I lost custody of my children. And so it really, the meth and the pain pills is where the meth really is where my life spiraled out of control. I just started stealing pills and drugs and just whatever, from whoever, even my own family. But they still love me. Thank God.
Yes.
So yeah, good time in my life.
How long were you in active addiction? Because you said you started after you had your kids.
Well,
So how long were you in active addiction to where we all have that moment where we realize, okay, this is like out of control, like I can't do this anymore. I mean, and we continue doing it, but what was that moment when you were like, I'm in trouble here because I can't stop?
well, I experimented a lot. Well, not too much, but in high school and whatnot. But that happy feeling that the pain pills give me, what's that word? Euphoria.
Euphoria.
Yeah. That I guess that's when I knew I was in trouble, right when it first started. But I remember my daughter, she was like 5 at the time, maybe. And, I had got my second DUI with her in the vehicle with me. So, but I spent about 10 years altogether in addiction. But that's not a proud mama moment for me, like her being there and being old enough. And so she had sent me some messages right at like June of 2019 and told me that I wasn't a good mama and just all this hurtful stuff. And that was really the turning point for me. Like, I've got to get out of this because I'm going to end up losing my children altogether, you know. And so I really, now that I step back, those messages were very hurtful, but I'm glad she sent them, because that's really what made me put myself in the foundry. You know, I tell people I wasn't court ordered or nothing. I signed myself up before I even told my mom, my stepdad, or anybody. But my real father, he died in 2018. So really, I tried to start getting my life together better, you know, after he died. But it took me a little while, but I finally got in there. So yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you made that decision, you know, to come in, because that's, I mean, that I don't think that's an easy decision for someone to make.
No.
Especially, yeah.
Oh, took me 4 hours to call the foundry. I was scared to death, but it was really the easiest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're taking yourself out of what you've known, you know, for, like you said, that was a 10 year stretch for you, of what you knew. And what I've learned about, when a person becomes addicted to meth, it is, number one, it's highly addictive. Number two, it takes over your prefrontal cortex. So where your decision making is housed, your logic is housed, your reasoning is housed there. It completely takes that out of the equation. So now only the pleasure part of your brain is running. So that's why that's the only thing you're looking for. It's the only thing that, you know, that matters at that point, because the amount of dopamine that's released, once you use that particular drug, it's, I think, let's say the number is like 1,200 times more than what our brain.
Extremely high.
Yeah.
It's excessive. You will never reach that amount.
Yeah, like
never.
yeah, of what our brain can actually handle. And so it just wipes out all of your ability to reason, or to make sound decisions. So that's why it's not, you know, just to say, oh, well, just you know, why won't they just stop it, you know? Or at some points people are like, well, why can't they love their children enough to stop? It has nothing to do with that. Like,
exactly. Yeah. Because you love your children. It's not in the matter of, I was told that too, and it would hurt, because I was like, you just don't understand. Of course I love my children. Because it's like you said, it takes over your brain and your ability to make sound